I'm Laura Bonnell, and this is the Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast coming to you from Detroit. Please subscribe and even rate and comment on our podcasts when it moves you. I learn something new with every podcast, and I'm always inspired by the people that are showcased here. We don't give medical advice. You need to connect with your doctor for that. I hope that this Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast educates you and sparks some volunteering or advocacy. The CF community needs people like you. Thanks to our sponsor, Viatris, for their support. Daelyn James understands the power of her own story. She was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis when she was 4 years old, and she says she went from a carefree childhood to a childhood that was full of treatments, doctor visits, and reality that she just was not ready to face and certainly not ready to share it with others. So she kept her CF diagnosis hidden for so long. She was worried that people would just see the diagnosis and not her and constantly be saying things like, oh, we're so sorry you have CF, and just really not get to know her. So she then decided about high school that she was not going to run from her CF diagnosis because on the other side of the coin, people were like, what's wrong with her? Why is she always sick? Why is she always coughing? So she decided that she just wanted to speak the truth about her disease, and then whatever would come from that would come from that. But she was happy that it was very positive. People accepted it. They asked questions, and she was able to really move on with her life in a different direction. So she is proudly living with cystic fibrosis, and she uses her experiences to raise awareness and to connect with other people. And she offers a lot of hope, too, because she has seen both sides of the coin. And her message is simple and powerful. She says, during the hardest moments, there is strength, goodness, and there is always a way forward. Yay, Daelyn. So finally, we're doing the podcast. We had technical issues before, and then life gets in the way. So I'm really glad that you're on the podcast and we're able to talk now about your story. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm excited too.
I mean, I don't know you that well, but I can honestly say I'm so proud of you now that you're telling your story. And I just looked on your Instagram yesterday, and I feel like just since I met you over Zoom, not even in person, you have blossomed already. Aww. You went from not telling your CF story to now sharing. What was the change for you? What made that happen?
So I always, like growing up, was ashamed of my disease. And then in high school, I decided to share it with people. And then I ended up being on CBS News. And then I went to 2 conferences and spoke. And I realized, like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like, I can inspire others and make a difference. But then I got really sick in high school towards like my senior year, and I decided to go to college. Well, fast forward to now. So Trikafta came out, has literally like changed my life for the better. And I'm like, you know what? I want to share my story again. I want to get myself out there. I want to motivate other CFers. I want to advocate for them. I also want to advocate for families. And altogether, I'm just excited to share the rest of my story.
And where do you think the shame came from? I mean, what was that about?
I think because when I was so little, my parents would tell like my dance teachers or like my school teachers, like, hey, she has CF, like she needs this. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like you have cystic fibrosis. Like, and it was like, I didn't like that. I didn't want to be treated differently. And also my friends or peers, I was scared they were going to make fun of me. I had a feeding tube. I had a port. So my body was different. I saw myself as different, but I didn't want anyone to know. So I tried to hide it to the best of my ability.
Because you just wanted to live your life and not have people have all these emotions around you and your disease.
Correct.
You owned your disease that way. That gave you the power back, right?
Correct. You know, after that, like hiding it, I realized that people could tell, people could see that something's off. She coughs a lot. She's not at school a lot, you know? And so it was like, all right, well, they're treating me differently because they don't know what's going on. So let me just get it out there, share what CF is. And so many people were shocked as to like the ins and outs of CF. And I don't know, I was shocked too that some people had no idea what CF is. Now like you tell people like, yeah, I have CF, they're like, okay, like, yeah, cool. Like I feel like it's different now.
It's different now because of so many more medications for 90% of the community. And as you know, we still have work to do, but sharing it, did this make you feel like now you could kind of own your new story and you could educate so that it wasn't so mysterious to people?
Yes, I think now kind of like the story that I'm in now is kind of, having people concept the fact that CFers were going to die younger and then now we're living longer, and them realizing like the psychology behind it, how we feel emotionally behind it, and how like, I guess like my generation and the younger generations, it's completely different. And I think I want people to understand what I had to go through and what other CFers had to go through to get to where we are today.
Because you're in your 20s, correct?
Correct. Yep. I am 25.
25, what a great age. And how far we've come since you were diagnosed at 4 years old, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How are your parents doing now that you're sharing your story and you've opened up so much?
My mom, like I'm just now learning like actual big adult like things, like how to make a budget. She's like on top of me. She's like, you need to do this and that. And I'm like, like, I'm overwhelmed. So she treats me like a completely normal person. And I know my family is very proud of me for sharing my story. And I'm thankful for that, because if it wasn't for their encouragement and support, I would not be sharing it.
And what was your major in college? What are you doing?
Psychology. I'll be a child life specialist. And I'm so excited because growing up in the hospital, child life specialists were the ones that were there for me and looked out for me and helped me like realize what CF is and how I can better take care of myself. So by becoming a child life specialist, I can make a difference and help kids that have been in my position.
So that is such a huge thing, being a child life specialist. It was the most important thing to one of the two of my daughters, important to both, but more so to Emily because she had such a fear of blood draws and really just had a huge fear of everything that was going on. And you, obviously, having lived this and living it, you can totally relate. So you take all that with you in this job, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think I'll be able to, one, relate to kids more, but also explain the hospital process better. And then that way they can kind of grasp it and take it more in depth. Whereas, like, some people may not be able to explain, like, step one, step two, to like completely, like, in depth to the full, like, all of it.
And not only, obviously, will this help you with CF kids, but any child with a chronic illness, cancer, anything, you really have a whole different view than maybe someone else who doesn't have a disease that they're dealing with personally.
Obviously, I can't work with CF kids, but like, I feel like cancer kids, I personally would want to work with them only because I can understand how they've been in the hospital for so long, because when I was little, I was in the hospital for like every 2 to 3 weeks, and then every 2 to 3 months. So I was there. I knew the nurses, I knew the doctors. So, like maybe like working with that field, I feel like I can actually make a difference and really guide them through hospital stays.
It's very exciting, and I want to get, talk more about your future too. But first, let's back up to when you were diagnosed and what is your first memory of what cystic fibrosis was, and what were your parents told, and how was that for them?
So I remember it was like an evening or whatever, and I had to use the bathroom. My stomach was hurting really bad. My mom came in the bathroom, had to help me, and she realized something wasn't right. So we ended up going to, I think it was one hospital, and they said that they couldn't help me. Like they need me to go to like a special hospital. So then I ended up at Vanderbilt Children's, and the doctors kind of came in and said, hey, she had a rectal prolapse. We think she may have CF. Come back this day and we're going to do a sweat test. So my mom obviously was like freaking out. My family's freaking out. And then I go to clinic and they're like, she has CF. You're going to want to, get your friends and your family here to support you. And we're going to go over like the technicalities of it. And at first I didn't really understand it, but I want to say it was like around kindergarten. I would have to wake up earlier and I would be like, this isn't fair. Why do I have to wake up early? And, because I didn't have the vest at this time. And I was like, you have to pat on my back and I have to do this puffy thing. Talking about my inhaler.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I realized like, oh, I'm different than others. And I remember my mom being like, well, you have cystic fibrosis and a lot of kids don't have this, but you do. And she was like, you're special and you're going to make a difference one day. And of course, like me being little, I'm like, what is she even talking about? Like, that's stupid. And then now that I'm like here and I'm actually sharing my story, that's literally coming to life. And now I'm like, Mom, you were so like correct. Like, so definitely probably around kindergarten is where I'm like, where I really realized it. But when I got 12, I got really sick. And that's when I also realized like how to take care of myself, like the importance of my breathing treatments, all my bedtime pills, like every little thing about CF, I realized how important it was because I would miss out on so many school activities and dance activities. And I just got frustrated and I was like, you know what? I'm taking care of myself so I don't have to miss out on this stuff.
What now is a typical day with CF compared to maybe before you were on the CF modulators? How has your life changed? What was it like before and now?
So before the modulators, I was doing breathing treatments 3 times a day. And I would do nighttime tube feeds and I would go in the hospital every 2 to 3 months, like I did when I was little. Well, now I knock on wood, January will be a year since I have not been admitted into the hospital. I do my breathing treatments twice a day still. And then I got my feeding tube removed and I got my port removed. So
Wow.
I kind of go about my life like I'm normal. I have a job that I love. This is like the most like normal I've ever lived.
Do you want to stay in this where you are, where you live, or do you want to venture out somewhere else at this point?
You know what? I'm just going with the flow and just going to let the wind take me wherever. So I'm not going to be pinpointed exactly like I'm staying here for the rest of my life. I do want to start in Nashville just because that's where I've lived my entire life. So I kind of want to stay here and get my career and boost it up and, get familiar with it before anything happens and then kind of go from there. Who knows? Maybe I'll end up wherever.
And how do your friends or your besties, like how do your friends feel now that you really have begun to tell your story out loud to everybody or anyone who will listen?
My close friends are so supportive. They were like, oh my gosh, yes, share your story. And they're always like, did you write a blog today? Or when's your blog coming out? Did you do a podcast today? Like, they're like so excited for me. And one of my like super close friends, she's like, this is my friend Daelyn and she has CF and she's a nurse in school. And
Oh.
she tells everyone like, yeah, she does breathing treatments and, da, 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 da. And sometimes her like classmates will ask like, okay, well, she knows CF. Like, what do you know about CF? And yeah, no, my friends are very supportive and I'm very lucky to have them in my life.
You're really educating everyone and making a difference, raising awareness in Nashville and around the country. You must be really proud of that. It must make you feel terrific.
It does. I just kind of started out. So I want to expand that more. I want to share my story with more people. I want to, go back into motivational speaking. I have so many opportunities and so many goals that I have with sharing my story. And this is just the beginning. So I'm excited to see what the future holds.
Do you feel now, because I can say, for one of my daughters, before and after the modulator, there's so much more hope for a long life like everyone else. Did that happen for you as well?
Like having a longer life
Yeah, like
expectancy.
you felt like there was a mental shift of now I have a future. I mean, you kind of did talk about that a little bit, but I'm just wondering how that has like changed over the years as, you've grown up.
Yeah, when I first started the modulators, I did not think they were going to work. Well, they ended up working, and I kind of like reality kicked in, and it was like, oh my gosh, these are working. Like, I have to like get a big girl job. I have to pay bills. Like, so obviously, I was kind of like, I was never supposed to deal with this. Like, why do I have to deal with this? And I fell into a deep, dark hole. And it was, I did not want to be alive. Not like I wanted to like hurt myself alive, but it was more so like, why? Like, I was supposed to die young and now I'm not dying young. Why do I have to do all these like big things? I have to be an adult. And I fell into a hole. I lost myself. And it took me, I want to say around 2 years to get myself back together and realize like, okay, this is it. This is happening. You have to suck it up. Like, put your big girl panties on and do what you got to do. And I've learned a lot of things that I never thought I would need.
Well, I'm so glad because you're such a inspirational person and you're young and life has changed so much because of the modulators and you have so much time to impact the younger CF generation too. What do you want to either remind them of, or what do you want to see changed in CF for the future of other people like yourself?
I guess the biggest thing is one, yes, you have cystic fibrosis. Okay. But don't let that put you down or 100% define you. Yes, it's who you are, it's what you have, but you're so much bigger than CF and you can go about your life like you're almost normal, you know, and not to be scared. Don't be afraid to get yourself out there and do what you have to do. And also, families, I don't want them to be as scared because I know when you first hear the diagnosis, you freak out. You go on the internet, you search it up, you look at statistics, da 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 da. And it's not the same currently in 2025.
And what are you most excited about that's out there, whether it's hearing about everything that's happening for IVF for men and women who've had trouble getting pregnant because of their cystic fibrosis? I mean, it's mainly men because they don't have the vast deference, but what kinds of things is it that there's awareness about colon cancer and people with CF Is there something that sticks out to you that you're like, yes, we need to talk about this because we weren't talking about it enough before?
Definitely health effects, because we were going to die so young. We weren't worried about, like maybe getting cancer, maybe, getting something else, maybe developing another disease. So we don't know that. And to my knowledge, there's not that much research out there of different types of diseases or whatnot we could get. So I think that's one of the biggest things that needs to be looked into more is, our future health.
I'm just wondering, so Nashville, let's talk Nashville for a second. Any of us who do not live in Nashville, when we think of Nashville, all you think about is music. You're going to go somewhere and see somebody sing, and it's a country town, right? Which is wonderful. But you know Nashville, you live there. What else goes on in Nashville that you love?
To be honest, yes, it is country music. But I will say any type of concerts we have here, I do try and go to. But I tend to stay in my little bubble. I don't tend to go really out to Nashville. It's like once in a blue moon. Didn't used to be when I was like younger, but now not so much. So I really couldn't tell you like everything that's going on. It is like a country music, but it's not all country music. We do have some good food places. That's for sure.
The good food is always wonderful.
Yeah.
And did you have trouble gaining weight? Is that under control now thanks to the modulator drugs?
Thanks to the modulator, I was able to gain, I want to say it was like 20 something pounds. So that's how I was able to get my feeding tube out. Currently, right now, and this is like kind of going back to the thing where they need to research like other things that is going on with CF. I'm having some stomach issue. We don't know if it's scar tissue or what it is to where I can't eat as much as I used to. And I get like feels like there's a rock in my stomach, literally. And it's hard for me to breathe when I eat a ton amount of food. So we're trying to figure that out right now. And the research would be great on this. And believe it or not, my doctors in Nashville, they don't have the best stomach doctors. They only have like stomach doctors that work with normal people, They don't know the full like CF stomach, how it works, the digestive system. Like they don't know the technicalities of it.
I think that for us was one of the biggest problems was GI issues. And I agree with you. I think it's under-researched. I know we have a great GI doctor at the University of Michigan where my girls went, and the best doctor is retiring. So now what?
It's not James, is it?
It's Matthew DiMagno. Okay. Yeah, he's fabulous.
There is one doctor at U of M that I do want to go see, and he's a cystic fibrosis gastroenterology doctor. I can't talk.
Gotcha.
So I am trying to get an appointment with him.
If you come to Michigan, we are going to see each other in person. That is so interesting. Gosh, it's so funny how many different connections we have. I guess when you're having things like this stomach issue and things are moving along and then you have this intestinal situation, I don't know if this is your toughest day, but when things like this happen, how do you make it through? How do you get yourself mentally through it? Sometimes because like it sounds like you don't have great answers right now.
The biggest thing is I just push through it. You have gone through so many worse things, and this is just a minor inconvenience. But just to push through it. Like my biggest thing is like you just literally have to like go for it. Like do what you have to do And that's, how I go about my day when there's any minor setback.
And who inspires you? There are so many different CF people to choose from because, gosh, we've got a country full of them and abroad as well. But when you're looking for motivation or whatever it is you're looking for that would make you feel better or inspire you, who do you think of?
When I was younger, actually, Claire Winland was like one of my like biggest, like I would watch her YouTube videos. So yes, she still is an inspiration, but also Summer Love.
We love her. Love, love. Right?
Yes.
That's a pun on her
And
name.
she
Yes.
just like everything she does, I'm like, I want to be like her. Like her drive, her motivation, like I want that. Like she's an amazing person. She's also super bubbly. And yeah, she is one of my biggest inspirations.
And why is that? How does she speak to you? What do you hear? I mean, obviously you said she's bubbly and she's got a great attitude and all of that, but is it her message? What else is it?
It's definitely like her message for sure. Just the way she shares CF with the world. She makes it easier to understand. She also makes it look like fun. She doesn't make it like, oh, poor sick, She makes it look fun. And she is really doing something for the CF community. And that's something that I want to do myself. So I definitely look up to her in so many ways.
That is so wonderful. And it's so important that you can look to others. And in show notes, not only will we put your Instagram link, we'll put Summer's as well.
Yes.
And Summer is Somer, not like the
Correct.
season.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll definitely, I agree. She's terrific. I mean, there's so many people to choose from. What are your dreams for the future? What do you see yourself doing in addition to child life and everything else?
I have some pretty big goals that I do want to reach for CF. There's two of them in particular. I am going to keep it hidden in a little box until the time is right. I do have to get myself out there more before these goals can happen. So right now, my current goals are, just getting myself out there, meeting different people from foundations, meeting companies that have, something to do with CF, pharmaceutical companies, just kind of, it'll create a foundation and really get my story out there so I can inspire others and hopefully change the world.
Well, you will do it because you've put it out there. And I absolutely believe that it will happen. It's funny because I was telling one of my daughters yesterday, I put out like as much good karma as I could yesterday because people are just a little on edge these days. And I was like, no one is going to ruin my day. I'm going to be nice. And it actually, like when you're so conscious about it, it works. It does work. It was long stories I could tell you about yesterday, but I felt like, it was a reminder to me to keep putting out the good karma and to remain calm and just get through it and smile at people because everyone is going through something. So they may be grouchy is as nice as I can say it, but for a reason. And we really can put out the good karma, change other people's moods and have an impact, right?
For sure, yeah. If you speak more highly about yourself or atmosphere, you're actually like psychologically, it tricks your mind into thinking it's real.
Well, and because that's your major, tell us what you learned from your major that you've put in place on your CF journey.
So actually, this is kind of crazy. Personally. But when I first started Trikafta, I, knew something was off with me. And I actually like the brain, like the amygdala and the hippocampus, like it's like your thoughts and your feelings. And so I was like, maybe, this modulator might be messing with my thoughts and feelings. And I mentioned it to my doctor, and they were like, we don't know that. Like, we're not sure. And then eventually, like, I found a article on something that, like, was kind of researching it, and it was kind of nice to know. But I'm also able to take, like, the times when I was in that deep, dark hole, I was able to take how I felt and kind of apply it to certain types of, like, ways to cope with it, certain types of ways to learn from it. Now, I'm not a doctor whatsoever. But obviously, like, in my textbooks and whatnot, it would talk about, like, certain kind of therapies, like DBT or like CBT. And so I tried to apply some of those therapies to me whenever I was going through it.
No need to say you're not a doctor, because I'm not a doctor either, but I have 30 years of CF experience because of my daughters, and we're something in between an expert and a doctor, right? Like, you are your expert of your CF life. And so it's important, like, we give ourselves credit. I say this a lot because there's no need to say, I know you're not saying this, but there's no need to say we don't know enough about our disease or our kids' disease, because I think we do. I mean, we live it every day. My daughters live it. I see it. I've been their parent. You live it, So I'm really glad you're out there. I'm really glad you're sharing your story and your light, because you're already impacting people, and I'm excited for your future.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
Well, I can't wait to hear those two things that are going to happen in the future. And when you're ready to share, we'll do another podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Wonderful. And is there anything else you want to add about your journey, where you're going, or what your hopes are?
You know what? I think we have talked about it all. The main thing is get ready for the future and my future plans, because I really hope it will change the CF world.
Awesome. Daelyn James, thanks so much for sharing your story and talking to us from Nashville. We really are delighted to get to know you just a little bit more.
Well, thank you for having me, and I love working with you, everything you do, and I appreciate everything you do for the CF world.
Thank you.
The original music in this podcast is performed by Kevin Allen,
It's not complicated.
who happens to have cystic fibrosis.
We all got our worries and fears. I know it's got you frustrated, but loving you is so alright.
This has been the Living with Cystic Fibrosis podcast. For more information and to learn more about the Bonnell Foundation, visit our website at thebonnellfoundation.org. That's the BONNELL Foundation.org.
This podcast was produced by Jag and Detroit Podcasts. Follow our show on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you're listening right now.